Well, hey everybody, it's Barry Kleiman. Today we're going to cover number 5 of LinkedIn's 26 most asked interview questions. And the question is, tell me about a time you showed leadership. I, again, chose these questions to offer perspective on to you for the main purpose of saying that these questions are LinkedIn's 26 most asked questions. Will they come up in every interview? No. But LinkedIn's AI, LinkedIn's artificial intelligence is fairly robust, of course, and they're saying that these questions, including this one, are asked often. You'll see on the graphic that we post, or you already saw, that 800,000 people wanted an answer to this question. The point I'm trying to make is you may not get this question asked of you in an interview, but the odds are high that in some way, shape, or form, a question like this will come at you. And all of these questions, really, but this is the fifth most asked one. Tell me about a time you showed leadership. So if you've been watching any of my videos, it's going to come as no surprise to you that I'm going to give you a very simple answer, which is tell me about a time you did. Be honest about it. What's a time that you did? Um, Questions like this, and honestly, many, many interview questions, but certainly questions like this, are as much about the way you answer them and the energy and the authenticity and the thoughtfulness that goes into it than the answer as much as a specific answer. It's a general question. Tell me about a time you showed leadership. It's not even the last time, it's a time. It's not even a specific situation. Like, tell me about a time you showed leadership in your role as X. If that's the question, it's a little bit different, but not glaringly different. Um, Leadership is a broad term. I have on my screen in front of me, and I'm going to read these to you because I want to give some perspective. So, I'm just looking on a website for Center for Creative Leadership, and this is not necessarily the gospel, but I liked what they said about it. So I'm just going to read these 10 traits to you, and I'll put them in the chat. So, leadership. What are 10 good essential leadership traits? Integrity, delegation, communication, self awareness, gratitude, learning agility, influence, empathy, courage, respect. These are 10 essential leadership traits. I actually happen to like these. I think they make a ton of sense. And you could also use them as ways to think about what leadership means to you and how you might answer questions like this. And again, there's a good chance you're going to get asked this question in an interview at some point. Or you can use these traits to talk about yourself as a leader in the abstract, meaning even if somebody doesn't ask you your leadership style, you can use things like talking about your integrity or communication or your self awareness or your gratitude or your learning agility. Look, things like this, coming onto listening to a YouTube like this, where you maybe have thought you knew everything there was to know about interviewing, but maybe want another perspective. That's learning agility. You're looking to expand your knowledge base. That is leadership, by the way. Not necessarily watching me, but leadership in general, learning agility. So, but also those 10 traits tell you that leadership means different things to different people. Not everybody, every leader has integrity and delegates and communicates and they're self aware and has learning agility. Some leaders are tyrants, whatever. So you have to decide how you want to talk about yourself as a leader. Um, I'm going to use an example right now. It's from my personal life. And again, this is not necessarily specific to anybody watching, but maybe. When my first grandson was born, he was pretty sick a couple days into his life, and it's a long story, and it has a happy ending, of course, which we're all thrilled. But at the moment it was getting hairy, we were all probably, on the border of freaking out. It was really scary. And everybody had their role, right, in this. My daughter, the child's mother, had her role. Mother, my wife had her role, and so forth. But I decided my role, even though I was scared, whatless, crapless, that my role was to provide some level of leadership. Leadership in terms of empathy and courage and awareness and communication. And basically what I said is, look, because there were some potential circumstances where he could have had some loss of certain senses in his life. I don't want to get into the details of it, but it was scary. And I just said, look, because we were freaking out. He's here. I'll never forget this, which is why I'm telling the story. He's here, which was, of course, the most important thing. He was with us. He survived it overall. And that is what mattered most. And I want to go on to say he just seems fine, 100% fine several years down the road. But at the time, it was really freaking scary. But I thought at that moment that we all needed focus, right? Something to think about and chew on and be aware of that would be helpful, as opposed to letting us spin out of control emotionally and so forth. And so, anyway, that was a time of leadership for me. I'm not trying to give myself a stripe on my sleeve or anything of the kind, but it is one of the first things I thought of when I saw this question. So, the things that come up in your life, um, I want you to be aware of them. So much of what effective interviewing is the ability to tell stories, like the story I just told you. You don't even have to relate to it or like it or anything of the kind, but it does provide context for leadership in my own life, right? And so the stories that you tell, and we're going to talk about this quite a bit, your stories bring power to your examples, and the ability to tell stories and be authentic about your stories will prove special sauce more than any other tip or anything you might read on Google. When he says this, you say that. Authenticity rules. And when you tell stories, authentic stories, and you use truths from your life, they just become a little bit more palpable and more visceral to the listener. Not always. Some people are looking for a very specific answer, but as I've said often, and I'll always say, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what that person is specifically looking for. You can ask them, but I can't imagine anybody who any of us want to work for or work with who doesn't appreciate integrity and empathy and authenticity um, is somebody you want to work for. That's me. You all have to decide what you want to happen and why. But to me, if you have this platform and you're authentic about it and you tell stories that are from a heartfelt place and an authentic place, and you are able to tell them real, they're gonna resonate more. So these questions that I'm sharing, this one, the next one, the last one, you're gonna hear them more often than not in interviews. You will. Again, according to LinkedIn, anyway. So think about them and think about how you would respond and think about some ways where you can respond once again authentically, empathically, and bring your energy to the story and make it real. So that's it. That's the story I would tell personally. That's my continued dogma, if you will, about being authentic and being aware of questions like this and being aware of stories in your life and making sure that you provide you in all these interviews. There's nothing else matters more than you and your the vision that you have for yourself and how you want to go about getting there. Again, you don't want to tell the truth, that's up to you. I'm trying to tell you that if you think about it and use it, you can scale it more often than any other single thing. And you'll see it. It's going to go through. If the truth you think is not something you want to be involved with, all of these interviews, I'm sorry, all of these YouTube videos are going to be a waste of your time because all my answers are going to be based in examples from my own life and encouraging you to take your truths, what's honest about yourself, and incorporate it into your answers. So that's it for today. This went on a little bit longer. I apologize, but tell me about a time you showed leadership in your life. Think about it. You're going to get that question more often than not. Okay. Hope you're having a great day, everybody. We'll be back with the next one. I don't even know which one it is, but we'll be back with the sixth of LinkedIn's most asked interview questions on the next one. Thank you.